In the little park in Yajevo. In the little park by the stop of tram number 4 in Yajevo, it was pleasant. A breath of forest drifted down from Vitosha, moss, damp earth, and the faint scent of decaying leaves. On one side stood the tram stop. On the other, the buses that circled the old cinema before setting off toward Vodaya. Next to the cinema was the old building that had once housed the library. Now, it sold wood-burning stoves. A narrow path wound through the small park. Around it stood several benches, some occupied by people enjoying the warm August afternoon. A light breeze stirred the air. Dark clouds covered the sky. Perhaps it would rain. Perhaps not. The clouds occasionally hid the sun, and the gentle wind kept the air from becoming as stifling as it had been during the previous few days. From somewhere, no one quite saw from where, a homeless man appeared and sat down on one of the benches. He wore black jeans, a jacket, and a dark t-shirt with a faded, indistinct print. On his feet were high boots, the heavy military kind without laces. His jeans were 2 sizes too large and hung loose without a belt, constantly slipping down. Every now and then he tugged them up with his left hand to keep them from falling. His clothes looked dirty, and even from a distance, they suggested the sort of smell that, from up close, might be distinctly unpleasant. The man appeared to be around 60 years old. His long, curly hair and beard were completely white, giving him a certain dignity. The whiteness contrasted sharply with his face, darkened by sun and grime. After sitting down, he placed beside him a 1-liter bottle of water and a snack wrapped in a plastic bag. He unwrapped the food, most likely something found in the trash, and began to eat slowly. From time to time, he tossed a crumb to several pigeons that had gathered before him. The birds jostled and pecked greedily, fighting over each tiny morsel. When he finished eating, the man lazily unscrewed the cap of the water bottle. Then, just as lazily, he bent down and picked up a cigarette butt lying on the ground beside him and dropped it into the bottle. Rising from the bench, he began looking around. The ground near the bench was littered with cigarette butts. Many smokers, unconcerned with cleanliness, had simply tossed their finished cigarettes at their feet. This proved fortunate for the man. One by one, he collected the butts and dropped them into the bottle. Whenever he bent down, his loose jeans slid even lower, revealing torn black underwear beneath. He seemed entirely unconcerned with this unintended display, or whether it might disturb the other visitors in the park. A few of them began watching with curiosity. What was he doing? Why was he putting cigarette butts into the bottle? The answer soon became clear. He took a sip from the bottle, then carefully screwed the cap back on, sealing the precious cigarette butts inside. Afterward, he shuffled slowly along the path toward the road beyond the park. On the way, he stopped in front of 2 elderly women and asked whether they might give him some money. They pretended not to hear him. He pretended not to notice their indifference and stood there for a minute or two, quietly observing them. Then, he asked again. When no answer came, he muttered a curse and moved on. He stopped beside a nearby trash bin and began rummaging through it, tossing bits of garbage onto the ground. Eventually, he gave up, having found nothing that held his interest. With the bottle of cigarette butts in his right hand and his left hand holding up his slipping jeans, he shuffled down the sidewalk toward the tram stop. Meanwhile, the plastic bag that had wrapped his snack was lifted by the wind from the bench and carried across the grass, where it settled among other pieces of litter carelessly left behind by passers-by. One pigeon lingered near the bench, still circling hopefully for crumbs. It rushed after the drifting plastic bag. It did not notice the large rat lurking in the bushes beside the bench. The rat sprang forward and seized the bird by the neck. A struggle followed. The pigeon fought desperately for its life, beating its wings wildly, trying to break free. Feathers scattered into the air. In the end, however, the rat prevailed. It killed the pigeon and dragged the limp body beneath the bush. A soft breeze continued to move through the park. The weather was warm, though not unpleasantly so. It was, in fact, rather pleasant. A person could take a walk there, or simply sit on one of the benches and watch the world go by. Sometimes there is something to see.